Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, I'm Neha Vadone studying in class 11. So this video is going to be a Q&A session wherein I'll be answering to all the questions that I had received in the comment section for my previous video. So without wasting any time, let's get going. But before starting with the original questions, let me answer to the most common question. That is, do our 10th marks matter? Well, when we are in class 10, everyone says that these marks are going to define you. This will be the way you will be judged for your life. Well, I had believed this when I was in 10th. But when I came to class 11th, I realized that this is not very true. Like, nobody even matters about what you had scored in class 10. Those marks are just a tiny way to judge what you had been doing for the past year and nothing else. And to be very honest, class 11 is a total mess.
Whoa!
Now, why do I say this? Well, because it happens so suddenly that you just finish your class 10 boards and you don't know when you come into class 11. You don't know what the syllabus is, you don't know what's going on in the classes, it's just bouncing over your head, and you don't know what you're writing in exams, you don't know what you're doing throughout the year, and finally, the year comes to an end. Well, that is what happened with me. I didn't know when the year started and when it's coming to an end already. Well, class 11 certainly is very hectic because until class 10, you're just preparing for your one exam, that's the board exam. But when you come to class 11th, it's like you're preparing for NEET or JEE, and you're also preparing for the boards. Also, each and every class test marks matter. So because of that, you are doing so many things at a particular time. You're going to college, you're going to your tuitions, you're preparing for classes, you're preparing for exams, you're preparing for your tuition exams, you're preparing for NEET, you're giving this test, that test, too many chapters at a time. And let me make this clear, the syllabus is huge, like seriously very huge. Class 10 syllabus seems like a piece of cake when you come to class 11th. And you all must realize that scoring good marks in class 10 is truly a walk in the park. Like, there's nothing that's actually difficult in class 10th. It's just about how you learn and try to understand things and put it down on a paper. But in class 11th, it's totally different. Even reaching to 90% is like having done a great deed. So that's how serious class 11th is. And class 10 is nothing at all in front of what we are studying right now. So that's why this is your opportunity to score good or great in your class 10 boards. So let's start with the questions now. So let's begin with the first question now. The first question that I received was from Rekha Kudignor, if I'm not wrong. She says, "Hey Neha says, hello. I'm your junior studying in 10D. I just wanted to ask you how you prepared for your examinations at the last moment and what did you refer? Did you repeatedly read NCERT or solve PYQs? And what should we refer for last moment revision?" Okay, so let me begin with this one sentence that NCERT is the Bhagavad Gita of a student's life. Now, trust me when I say this, guys, NCERT is truly very important. Like, all the questions that come in the class 10th and 12th boards are definitely from the NCRT itself. There's nothing that's out of NCRT. Now, when I say that the questions come from NCRT, I don't mean that they pick up the questions right from the textbooks and give it. No, but what I mean is that the questions are framed on topics that are mentioned in the NCRT book. And there's something like if the topic or question is outside NCRT, then probably you get some grace marks for it. So that is why you never get questions that are out of NCRT. And this is why you need to make sure that you practice your NCRT perfectly. When I say perfectly, I mean you need to understand the meaning of each and every word right from the first page until the last page. And this is what I had done. I used to read my NCRT thoroughly, and I had practiced all the sentences in it. Like, I didn't miss even one sentence. And that is why I think that it probably helped me remember and understand the things better. Well, when it comes to PYQs, that you all might know that there are three sets of question papers that are circulated every year. And when it was turn for me to practice, I had practiced all the three sets of question papers from the last 10 years. But I seriously don't think that the last 10-year papers are necessary, because there is quite a bit similarity, but not on a huge scale. But when you practice the recent papers, you can find some similarities, and there is a chance that the questions might get repeated. So I wouldn't suggest you to practice the last 10 years papers. That's kind of not very worthy. So just practice the recent papers. So recent means like around 5 to 6 years back. And when you ask me how I had prepared for the last moment, I suppose it to be the period of 2 3 days before my exam. Well, at that time, what I had done was I focused on my notes, and there were some important questions that I had marked beforehand. I made sure to practice those, and whatever topic was quite confusing for me, I made sure that I practiced those topics in particular. So this is how I didn't have any confusions left before the exam. Okay, so we'll move to the second question now. So the next question is from Supriya Chavan, and she asks on what we have to focus in last 1 month preparation, and from which year onwards we have to solve PYQs for 2023 boards. Okay, so quite similar. For the last 1 month words preparation, I would ask you to first complete your NCRT, of course. And then next, I would suggest you to refer all your reference books and solve all the questions from the reference books. Because what I think is, I found the reference books quite useful. Like, most of the people say that focus on the NCRT and reference books can be left aside. But well, in my case, it was quite opposite. Not exactly opposite, but I studied NCRT first, and then when I took up my reference books, the questions were similar to the NCRT questions, and I was able to solve them properly. And the benefit of solving those reference book questions was that many of the questions that were in the reference books were exactly given in the board exams as well. That was one benefit, because since I had prepared for all the questions beforehand, and when the same questions turned up in the exam, that was quite very happy for me, because I knew the exact answers for those questions. And this is why I'd ask you to practice the questions of your reference books, because there is a very high possibility that those questions might turn up in your exams. And about the PYQs, I would suggest you to solve the questions from around 2016, 2015 or 16 onwards. That would be useful. So we'll move to the next question now. So the next question is from Pratik Garodkar, and he asks, how should we prepare or revise it now for remembering it for a long time? Is it by writing them and reading aloud? Okay, so for this, first of all, you all need to know that there are three things. One is muscle memory, second is visual memory, and third is auditory memory. So, what happens in muscle memory is that when you write something constantly, your muscles kind of remember it, and the next time you're writing it, you don't actually have to think about this. Uh, this is what had happened to me during my boards because I had practiced writing the answers for a long time, and when actually the questions turned up in the exam, it was like my hands were writing them by themselves and I wasn't actually thinking them very clearly. And when it comes to visual and auditory memory, yes, they are important because whenever I try to learn things, I usually read something and I keep on memorizing it and speaking it aloud so that once I listen to it, I remember it for a longer time. And but whenever it happens that I kind of like say it on the inside, I don't remember it for a long time. But when I say it aloud, yes, it does help and I remember it for a long time. So, if you have to practice answers for probably English or SST where you need to memorize certain answers, I'd suggest that write up the answers as many times as you can, and also while writing those down, keep on saying those aloud. So, in that way, all the three memories get trained properly, and because of that, yes, I hope that you remember your answers till your board. So, the next question here is from Ishan Patel. He asks how to stay emotionally and mentally strong during this time. Okay, so this question is not very easy to answer because I know that all these things are quite easy to say, but when it comes to implementing those, it gets quite hard. And I have experienced all this myself. The emotional and mental imbalance that comes just 1 month before the exams is quite unexpressible. The main things that cause these imbalances are you're going to leave your friends and school behind, and you're worried about how the exam environment will be like. You're scared what marks you'll score. You're scared what if the preparation isn't up to the mark and you don't score as well as you expected to. You have parents pressure, you have peer pressure, you have society pressure, and all these things lead to your emotional imbalance. What was my case was that I was trying very hard, but even then, I used to always score 78 or 79 out of 80, and it was never 80 out of 80. I used to curse myself, saying, why are you just lagging that one single mark? Why aren't you even able to score out in all the subjects, even when you're trying so hard? I was studying day and night, but that 1 mark gap wasn't just getting fulfilled. And there are times when you just think of giving up because you think, even after trying so hard, my marks aren't just coming. Why am I doing this for then? Well, you need to know that you aren't doing this for anybody else. It's not to impress your parents or the society. You're doing this for yourself. And board exams, it's just a huge name. There's actually nothing in reality. Well, I was scared myself saying, I have board exams, board exams, board exams. But the day I actually went to the hall, I was like, wait, this is nothing as what I had expected it to be. I thought it would be a very stressful environment, strict teachers, this, that, everything. But it's nothing in real. You have your own classmates sitting beside you. It's just a different school, that's all. The way you give exams in your school, you just go to another school to give the exams. And the paper, believe me, is actually easier than the question papers we used to get at school. In school, the papers would confuse us like hell. But in the board exams, they were quite straightforward and simple. So, board exams, it's just a big taboo on the name that they are difficult exams, this, that, stress around it. No, that's not needed. They are just normal exams. Normal exams being written on a paper using a pen. That's all. Nobody is going to shout at you at that place or something. There aren't going to be Hitlers standing there. No, they're just one or two teachers, your classmates beside you, and you're normally writing the paper in the same time duration that you do in school. And this is why you shouldn't actually be stressing about board exams and all. And to remain mentally strong and calm during exams or preparation time, you actually need to find something that calms you down. It's different for every person, so I can't exactly mention what it is. For me, it is this: water. Whenever I drink water, I kind of suddenly, feel calm and cool, and my mind starts working properly, my stress releases out. Just one sip of water does everything to me. And I think it also has something to do with mentality. If you keep on telling your brain that this is hard, this is very difficult, I can't do this, I'm stressing out, of course you're going to be stressed out. But if you just tell yourself and remind yourself that this is nothing, I'm preparing to the best extent I can, and whatever comes, I'm going to face it. If you don't freak about your situation, definitely you're going to remain calm even during the preparation time and also during your exams. And most of the people had suggested me that pray before the exam. Now, praying doesn't have anything to do spiritually. Like, if you want, you can believe, but praying actually, it deviates your mind to something else, and you're not worried about what's coming up. So, because of that, when your mind is distracted for a little while, you kind of feel calmed. And when your mind is calm, it works better, and whatever you have read, it right comes in front of your eyes. So this is how you can stay calm during your exams and you can stay mentally strong. So since the time is exceeding too much, I'll be making a part 2 of this video. Please move on to that video for getting your answers. Thank you. Wow.